it's kind of a natural instinct in a human. Whenever you feel like that your influence is not enough at that moment, that's when your mouth will come open. And in that instance, that's how we're like stock dogs, I think. A stock dog that's got a lot of confidence usually is real quiet. And when that dog gets unsure of himself, his posture changes, his tail will come up, his head will come up, and his mouth will come open. And he's found out that he can assert influence like that. And an unsure dog will slash at stock. He'll run in and then leave. And sometimes they learn that that's the only way they can influence a cow. And sometimes that's the only way we can do enough to get influence over the horse. But we don't want to stay in that mode. Even the unsure dog, when he gets that stock to move, he's going to change his demeanor. He's going to change how he's moving around him, and he'll get his head back down, his tail will come down, and he'll assume that posture, and then you'll see him walking around like this. Now, as I'm watching these horses, ain't one of them paying any attention to me, is there? They're just milling around. So that means that I'm at a spot far enough away that I don't have influence over the horses. So just recognize that. So I'm going to start moving here just a little bit until I see that I've got some of them acknowledging that I'm in the pen. As of yet, the Palomino kind of looked like she did for a second, and the rest of them still aren't paying any attention. So I'm getting bigger and just sending them. Now, you see how they're kind of hopping and putting their head down as they're moving? They're feeling my influence, and they didn't want me to influence them. So that's especially like that paint horse. The paint horse is kind of like asking a teenager to do something they didn't want to do. Right now, the resistance from that is, I'm going to ignore it and he'll surely just go away. The other three at this point are looking for a place to find some comfort. They're not comfortable with each other. You see the Palomino as it's going around there, look at his body, or her body. There's that posture we were talking about. The shoulder and body leaned in, the head's high. Look at the kink in her tail. So that's a picture of a horse that's not comfortable. That's a horse that is simply fleeing, trying to find comfort. Let's look at the bay horse here. She's influencing the other horses around her right now. But as she goes around, her posture is pretty good. Hips are slightly to the inside. The shoulder was straight up and away from me as she was going around, and she was looking where she was going. See right now, what's preventing her from giving us a very pretty picture is she's protecting herself from all those other horses. They're more interested in each other than they are with me right now. We basically got horses just running around trying to protect themselves. This is that. At times I've described energy that's way up, and it won't last. It's gonna change here. I'm gonna start becoming more influential here and change the direction of it simply by stepping over here. Change that direction. change that direction. Get this paint horse involved here a little bit too. The reason that I moved down to this end, they want to be on this end. Still, each horse has got a pretty high head, and we've got horses that are in self-defense mode. We've got horses that are running to find some place they can go get comfortable. Now they did stop and settle over here, but they stopped and settled looking away from me. So the influence that is taking place from horse to horse at this moment is still more important than my influence over them. Draft horse is kind of hoping that, you know, that they would quit running around so she doesn't have to do any more work. She's been here longer, and she knows that she doesn't have to work this hard. Let things just kind of settle down here a minute. You see where their heads are now? Sometimes it's best to just let them find a place where they can go be okay. And that's all I'm doing right now, just sitting here watching and waiting. Each horse has got a completely different posture than they had just a second ago. It is what it is. We're just simply observing right now. We're not really trying to influence anything. As we're observing, just kind of watch how they interact with each other. Sometimes they're getting security from each other. Sometimes they're getting, resistance from another horse. Now, as you're watching, what would you say that would actually be the most secure horse in the group here? The paint. Which one would be the most insecure? I think it's this Palomino. Could be the bay horse, but she's secure enough to be by herself. This one seems to need to be clung to another horse to find any sort of security. That doesn't mean that this one isn't insecure as well, but I think we've got different scenarios going on here. As they settle in here a little bit, you can see, like right now, the Palomino is licking and chewing. Paint horse is asleep. Bay horses are wishing they weren't in here still. Just doing what horses do. So let's see if we can use reading the attitude, and let's see if I can't get up in a spot of influence a little more here and start to direct this energy around in a group to where they start looking to me as the leader of the group. Right now they're not. None of them are. They're just out there still just milling around. The Palomino is wanting to look in. Just send that around. Wake the paint horse back up. Now, where would you say in this situation my energy needs to be? to keep these horses all going around. To keep them all going in the same direction, I need to influence this group as a bubble. Where that horse is feeling me, they're all feeling me. If I just simply get back here to the back and hang out to the back, the front horses will lose contact with me. See how it went chaotic there? So when I step back up in here, right here, and I'm influencing them space out, I'm going to change direction here. Sheep, the paint changed direction on me up there. Trying to do it again. So I'm mindful of these, and I'm more influential on the one that keeps wanting to deny me. Getting things smoothed out. You see the dark bay's got her ears pinned, threatening the other horses. The other horses are coming into a little bit more agreement. Get up there. Come on. Come on. Come on. I'm trying to present myself now as the easiest place to be. So I'm here, we got two takers, no takers. When they leave me, I'll increase that energy. So it's up to the horses when they find that, but it's up to me to present that to them. And I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it in a place where the lay of the pen and where they want to go is a tool to use in my benefit. See, if I try to get them to come off of this bench down here and come up there in a drawing fashion, they wouldn't do that, likely. They were going to come through, and then they got drew back out there to the other side. They left me. Just set that up again. Just use that side of the pen as a tool. They all went the wrong way. They're all focused in on the outside of the pen over there. It's okay. Just is. So because that's not what I wanted, I can make that more difficult. They're starting to want to pair up a little bit instead of working against one another. They're starting to want to work together. Now see, this is all still just playing out in watching their body language, watching their posture, and watching where they're looking. So when they're looking at me right now, like the Palomino and the Bay, they're feeling relief. The other two are hiding out behind them. This is This is just normal horse behavior that you're seeing. She could have stayed up here and stayed in a place of peace, but when she came through, she left and ignored me, so I put her to work. Now for a minute, I'm going to ignore the rest of the horses and put just this one to work. If they join in, that's their choice. Can you see that the one that I'm talking about working, doing her best to ignore me, looking to the outside, shouldering in. My point of influence is there, is what's keeping her going, but she hasn't come into agreement yet. As she's going around, notice that if she's the numbers on the face of a clock and I'm the hands, I'm just staying back here right at her shoulder, behind her shoulder, as that point of influence, and I'm watching where she's looking as a tool to give me timing. She's ignoring me, looking off, looking out, not paying attention. There, she almost gave it. She gave me just a hint of a try right there, but then she used that other horse. So I'm going to just hold her up into her own pressure here. Keep her turning away from me. So she's pushing on me. Yes, she gave me two eyes, but what was the attitude behind it? Pushing on me. There's a little hint of try. She left me. So, for a second, she gave me her 100% of her mind. Then, she's dropping her head, looking off, and moving her feet. She's still, I've got about, there's 100% of her mind. When she moves her feet, and I haven't told her to move her feet, if I watch that, she's controlling me. I'm just watching where she's looking and letting where she's looking be my tool to stop doing what I'm doing. Now see, I use distance as a tool to be able to outmaneuver her. I knew she was going to go side to side, so at this distance, I could even beat her back here. But if I get close, it wouldn't be anything for her to go around me. So I just used this tool here, my flag, as a tool to increase my position of influence, increase the energy, until I saw that horse start to come into a spot of agreement. I'm not going to let her just drop her head and walk off. I'm not going to let her look away from me. I'm not going to let her run by me. I'm not going to let her not pay attention to me. But I will let her stop and pay attention to me. That's all I do anytime. If you don't get any more out of this next few days than that, you got everything. I was watching her, where she was looking, what was her attitude, what was her posture. It told me when to put more influence. It told me when to take influence off. You hear trainers all the time talk about changes. You see, the first time she stopped and looked at me, there was a change. Now she keeps trying to sneak out through the door. That's a horse that more than likely has never had clear-cut boundaries. And she's been in control by lowering her head and moving her feet. So when she lowered her head and moved her feet, I don't mind she lower her head, but keep your feet still. If she looks at me, that's when I'm going to give her even a bigger. Now, when I increased the energy, did you see how it changed her attitude? She raised up and she said, I know I made the mistake here. She knew she committed to a mistake, and I raised it up until she accepted it. Wait there a minute. Now, I've been using distance as a tool. I've been watching her, letting her have the influence, or letting her decide when she gets to feel relief and when she gets to feel pressure. I've been the one calling the shots, mainly by moving her feet. I'm going to go up and touch her right now. So in their world, and they go into an environment where they're not familiar, they're going to do what you saw her do. Try to find a place to go, try to find a place to escape, try to find a place to hide. And I set the stage to where I became the leader. And the lead horse, once they've established their dominance, they'll go up and touch the horse that gave the dominance up. They'll go up and then you'll see them standing head to tail. This one will be, I'll knock the flies off the face of this one with my tail. They knock the flies off my face with their tail. We start to establish that response. Now, when I went and touched her, then it made it easy for her to come with me. Not that coming with me is the end all, but it's far better than her looking to get down there to those other horses to see if she could influence. Now I've sat there and talked for a little bit, and I've talked mainly for the horse, because you all knew, you could see what went on there is obvious. That time she was pushy. She took her nose and started to rub on me. She's probably been fed out of somebody's hand somewhere, and then so she's testing the boundary here with her nose to see if I can, if I'm going to give up what I'm doing, or if she's going to. Wipe the flies off her face here. I'm spending a little bit of time here because I'm going to test her. I'm not going to just let this be the end-all spot. This would be a very good quitting place for a day, and then you come back and you could build on this. But I'm going to give her an opportunity to come with me, or to go down there to those other horses right now by going off over here. She came with me, okay? I'm going to test it stronger right now by going back to her hip. She's still with me. Okay, so by reading the horse and assessing what she was going through, and then merging what I did based on what she was telling me, that's what ended up producing this. That's what we're talking about out there earlier, Julie, is that middle ground is going to be there all the time, but it's different based on how the horse's response is. I did the same thing all the time, but it didn't probably look like I was doing the same thing, did it? From if you just came in here and hadn't had an explanation of what was going on, you would have saw me chasing the horses at times. At times you would have saw me coming away from the horse. At times you saw me standing still. But those were all things done based on what I wanted the horse to do and what the horse was doing, and it caused my timing, to be in there. So now we've got a different look on all the horses. Do you think that the horses that I wasn't focused on benefited from me working on the one? They recognized that they weren't under the spotlight and they could go relax. Let me pick that Palomino out and work her a minute and see what she does. I'm going to single her off. See her hide, see her leave. I'll get her up there away from the rest of the horses. Do the same thing. She's going to irritate the bay horse by hiding out behind her, and the bay horse will help me to get her sorted off. There's another one to hide behind. Wrong choice. Head tight, getting racing. Heads up, she's just running off. Braced, tail's kinked. She's not comfortable. Better. There's a little bit of a chance here. Take a deep breath. See her look around here. Let her feel that. I'm going to keep this horse from coming in. She said, I know it's not any problem being around him now, so she was going to sneak up behind me. I'm going to see if I can get her to move her feet here. So I'm going to find that point of influence. Just move her forward. There we go. Just let her stop. The time that I spend not saying anything on the other side of a horse that is responding where I want, to me, elevates the benefit in the horse letting me make the choices. If I don't give them enough time, that's why this bay horse now has come up and got into play. I showed her this was a good place to be, and she wanted to be there. She didn't want to be down here anymore. The Palomino stepped up there, didn't get as much influence from me as this bay horse did, but she responded quicker to what I did. So even though the Palomino was quicker to respond to what I wanted, which one of those horses benefited more from the influence? Yeah, the bay horse, it benefited a lot more from the influence because she tried to find an escape here, she tried to find an escape there, she tried to find an escape here. And if I hadn't been aware of where she was trying to find escape, she would have got through that. But I was ahead of her mentally. Because I was ahead of her mentally, I could get ahead of her physically. That's the only reason a 60-some-year-old man can beat a horse in the sand pen out here, is you've got to be ahead of them where they are, and then be ahead of where you're sending them. Who was that famous hockey player? Gretzky, wasn't it? Said he plays to where the puck is going, not to where it is, but he plays to where it's going. So I'm there for them, but yet I'm mentally ahead of where they want to go. They're going to do consistently what horses do. So I'm watching this out here, and when I see those little subtle changes in the eye, I want her to stand there right now. Now as I approach her angle, my angle, I'm approaching straight onto the shoulder, right at the point of the shoulder. If I was too far to the right, I would send her to the left. If I was too far to the left, I'd send her to my right. So I'm watching, and she's not accepting my approach as well as I'd like for her to. I can tell by how she's got her head up, what she's doing with her ears. Her mouth is clamped shut. She's uncertain. Just sit here and wait a minute. I might back up and give her just a little room there. See where her head went when I backed off just a little bit. Where that head is, however high that head is relative to their level of comfort. So as I'm watching and reading the horse, my thoughts are going to, how is this horse feeling? Is she comfortable enough to stay there and do what I want and find that spot of relief, or is she too uptight to be able to find it? Doesn't matter which it is, but I need to recognize which it is so I can adjust how I'm approaching. Even though she let me come up and touch her, you probably can't see it from that distance, but from this distance I can see she's not comfortable. She's tight. Now she's getting more comfortable. As I stand here beside her and nothing happens, and my touch is doing no more than smoothing her muscle, she had to leave. This horse wants to be back in the picture. Palomino wanted out of the picture. The paint says, get out of here, you're causing me to have to work. See how them horses do talk? I just put words to what they were saying, that's all. Get up there. So, how can we help this Palomino then? I believe we can help her by getting up there and being a little more involved. I'm too close, I can't beat her there. That's a risk you take sometimes when you get up there where you're at a spot of influence close enough, they can take over real quickly. I'm going to come sooner this time. Got her this time. Sooner over here. Up here. Influence. I want her to face me in the center of the pen, not on the end. I'm backing up as I go. I'm going to go to her here. So I'm using geometry as a tool to help me. I know I can't outrun her, but I can give ground as I'm coming across and get to a spot where I can stop her over here. Y'all see her lead before she left? Pushing on me right there. Just wait a minute here. Notice how I'm touching her. A steady hand on the shoulder, I think, works like a steady hand on your shoulder from somebody outside when you're in a place you don't want to be. When it's a place where you're not comfortable, it's pretty nice to have somebody come along and say, it's all right. You're going to be all right. That's all I'm doing here. If I was scratching, that wouldn't, I don't think, have the same influence for the horse as right now, this moment of reassuring everything's all right. Better have a minute there. She used it as an opportunity to get back down here to these other horses, so she's telling me that the horses have more influence over her than I do. I'll leave them alone, and I'm going to send my focus on this horse. Leave that alone, and I'll focus on this horse. Now, see that, as she come across, there wasn't a hint of yield in that paint horse. There was the first time she yielded to me. Could you see that as she was going all the way around? She appeared to be the quietest one, and she might possibly be, but she wasn't the most respectful one. Let her sit there a minute. So that's how reading the horse in the moment. All of these horses basically did the same thing, but yet with different motives behind them, different postures, different attitudes. That bay horse right there probably benefited the most of all of them. She was, when that bay horse was approaching there, this horse got bothered by that horse over there, and that's why she left. When I was standing there on her side, I felt her raise up and look over at that other horse. You need to let those experiences be memories that you store in your mind. Because if you happen to be there, here, and you feel that and something is taking the attention over there, you might be vulnerable to get kicked here, even though I'm not behind her. It's relative to where her attention went. Just trying to hang out there on the wall, hoping I'll quit, hoping I'll ignore her. Let her find that there's a place where she can get me to quit. It doesn't matter where that place is, but I think what is important is you decide where you want it to be and put meaning into everything that they do. If it had been all right with me for her to hang out on the wall, it wasn't necessarily the worst thing in the world. But to me, she unhooked from me, she went over and hugged the wall and told me that my influence didn't mean anything to her, or she just was hoping that I would ignore her and go away. So I didn't accept that. I went over and presented myself to her in a way. She could have stayed with me. She chose to go back over there, so we'll give her and the Palomino some of that medicine and see if they can accept the program the way the bay horse. The bay mare that appeared to be one of the most insecure, when she surrendered her self-preserving instinct over to me, now has the appearance of being the most secure one in the pen, doesn't she? That's how. We have a question over there.
Well, it seemed to me like on the way in when they were moving them all around, they came over here, all four of them, early on. The Palomino was the first one to give her eye and face you.
Okay.
But yet she also seemed to be most uncomfortable.
Sure. Which one of them horses? I said there was one of them that hasn't had much handling. Which one of them would you think that it would be? That's a good. I understand why you're saying it. It's actually the Palomino. So the reason that she was first to look in my opinion, is because she had the most natural instinct of a horse to see what she needed to run away from. That's why she didn't appear to be comfortable, because she wasn't looking in out of respect. She was looking in to see if she needed to flee to save her own life.
How do you know?
Well, it doesn't matter. If they're looking in and they're uptight, they're thinking about leaving. Doesn't matter why they're thinking about leaving. If they're looking in like this bay horse is right now, like that bay horse was doing, like the pain horse did up there, they're not thinking about leaving at that moment. So then looking in is they stepped into our picture there. Okay?
So their body is more relaxed than the Palomino was.
Yes. Even now you see, and look at the difference in postures of those two horses. I'd bet you that the bay horse would stay there if I just walked up pretty abruptly where the Palomino would leave. Now, she is using the bay horse as a security blanket, and they're just happy to be out there like that. But they wouldn't be standing there like that had they not both found that paying attention to me was the best deal they can do in this pen. They've started looking at me as the lead horse. The paint is still content to ignore me. This bay will come and give me that at moments, and it just is what it is. So you saw how I influenced what was the worst attitude in the pen, and brought it into being the best attitude in the pen. If we would approach just the paint, we could, like playing chess, we could set the stage where here and here, and she made the choice to be good. We move here and here, she made the choice to be good. Pretty soon she would make the choice to be good sooner and stay in it longer, because there was a consequence to not making the right choice. Same way with this bay horse. So anyway, do you have any questions? I mean, that's to me practical reading and fitting in my influence. It's more than just standing out there watching them. It's just we watched them, sure, and we and we watched how they influenced each other. We watched them change and how they accepted my influence, and there was a whole lot went on there in a pretty short period of time.